So what we're going to do now is look for a means of giving ourselves some sort of visual cues while we're building the area. So that involves getting some key landmarks placed down. Not to finalise their placement or anything like that, but just to help as a guide for getting some of the key points in the area done. So what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly go to blueprints, go to placeables, just like we're doing with interiors now, and I'm just going to all here, and I'm going to go to in, and I'm going to be using one of the custom placeables that I have available, and that is, I think it's the RWS in 3, I think it is. Yes, it is. That's the one. So it's a big in, and so make sure you select objects is selected, and then just like you were doing in the interior set, but just as a reminder, I just want to rotate it. I'm just going to hold down shift and hold down the right mouse button and just rotate the in. Alternatively, you can just do these buttons to rotate 45 degrees at a time, but either way it's going to be sitting just here. As you can see, it's a nice little building because the main sort of path through the village passes right underneath the inn, so it makes it a very good landmark for the area. The RWS inn and like many RWS placeables are fully tintable as well, so we have that option for later. But for now, we're not interested in cosmetics right now. We just want to have it in position roughly where it's going to go, which is there. Great. Now, for player travel through the area, in terms of getting from one place to another, we're going to be using a series of stairs built into the cliffside, and it's going to go through 2 routes. So from the shore, we want the player to be able to ascend a step in the cliff just here to get to here, and then we want them to be able to ascend a stair in the cliff here to get to here. The path from both sides will then lead to the center here, so from there to there, there to there, and then from here to here we're going to have a stair bringing us up to the inn here, and then from there you've got the various other parts of the town will be spilling out around it. So looking at that straight away, we're probably going to have to move the inn back a bit, which is fine, which is why I kind of extended that area a little bit. But I mean, we could move it now, we could move it later, doesn't matter. But yeah, it's going to have to be somewhere like there. We may have to have a look at the height of this because I think it's going to be a little bit impractical. So we'll might return to that. But for now, we need to get the stairs in place. We're not going to mould out the terrain just yet. We're just going to get them in position, lock them in place, and then we will mould our terrain around those stairs. So we're going to, once again in placeables, we're going to use the filter, and we're going to type in, I think it is steps, I think. Yes, it is. And we will go with the wooden ones that from the default toolset. There are others, there are some nice stone ones which we will probably use for this bit later on, but for now, let me see, I have made some brief notes in advance just to, again, just to stop me from stumbling about. I think we want wooden 3, that was the one. And we will place it down on this flat ground here. If I pull them up, this is what you get here. So straight away, in terms of measuring them, because we want it to come up to this sort of height, we're going to have to kind of have a little play around with them now. So let me see. First off, we need the stairs to be taller to reach that same height. But what we're going to do is, because it's now at ground level, I think the bottom step is kind of equal to ground, thereabouts. There we go, got that to ground level. We're now going to height lock the stairs. We're not going to position lock them, just height lock them. So the height of the stairs cannot change now. And I'm going to embed them into the cliff here, like so. And we're going to have to increase its size, or at least its height, by probably just under half, I think. But just for argument's sake, we'll put it up to 2. We'll have to turn height lock off again. just I don't want to get bashed about while we're trying to do this. And then we're going to raise it up again. Let's use our page up and page down keys just to adjust the height tiny amounts, and that is actually perfect. So we've got that at the right size there. But the thing is now the climb is now too steep. It would just look ridiculous. So what we're going to do is we're now going to increase the scale. Now I believe the middle number will make the case longer. It will. So that's good. Let's bring it out a minute. Have a close look at what. Another thing is they're a bit too wide for my liking. We don't need them that wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the width of the stairs to 0.6, and we get that. That's rather good. I quite like that. So what we'll do now is I think we will build the stairs in just here. We'll get them height locked again now because we're happy with all this. Just going to bring this up a bit so I see the line, let it dip in a little, and we're going to height lock them now. And what we're going to do is we're going to build them into the tile like that. Thinking which way do we want them? I think actually we'll rotate, and we want them to come up here. So we're going to have to, once we're all set with the stair position, is we'll have to mould the terrain so the plane gets them up the stairs, make their way up, and we can sort of build the paths up around it and everything. So it's going to kind of loop around a bit here. So we can bring it back a little bit more. There we go. That should look pretty nice. We're going to do the same on the other side now. So now we've got it height locked and we know the height is correct. We can now copy and paste using I used the keys to do that with there. It's just Control C, Control V, and we're going to do the same thing again right here. I was worried about sameness and same looking steps. So the fact that this one's kind of at an angle and that one's this straight line there, it should help differentiate them slightly, so the players doesn't feel like they're walking up clone staircases at the same time. Let's get that there. So make sure we're within our border because the border's not far from here. So it's kind of nice way because hopefully when the player follows the path up these, as they go, they get a nice view off the cliff side as they're going up as well. So that's important. That is the visuals in this area want to have lots of nice views. So we'll bring that to there. That should be fine like that. So we've got our two staircases in position. What we want to do now is we want to start thinking about what's going to go here. But this is going to be a bit of a challenge actually to get a staircase built into that. I am going to position lock both of these now. Just as a reminder, I did double select there, so I can click on that one there. Now if I hold down the shift key and click on the other staircase, they're now both selected, and I can, between the pair of them, change both their properties, and then they're both position locked now. So if I try click on that and start moving my mouse cursor around, I can't move that now. Cannot be moved at all. So it's very handy then, because when we're moulding the terrain, it'll stay in place. Because if I didn't lock that in place, when I start moulding and raising and lowering around here, it will nudge the staircase up, or in the direction the terrain that it's sitting on goes. So with that now, we can mould completely freely around that staircase. Now I just need to get my filter open because we need to find our staircase for this piece here. And now I believe the name of the stairs we're after here is from the BCK custom placeable pack. That's like a building construction kit. It's fantastic. I will link that in this video for you to browse if you're making sort of buildings or want sort of like stonework, that kind of stuff. Really recommend this one. And I believe it's called Stairs. Let's see, BCK I'll just put BCK in. That hasn't helped at all. I'm just going to put in stairs. We'll find it from the list, I think. It was from the generic set of stairs. See if I can find it. Okay, stairs B I want. That's A. So as you can see here, all these options I have for stairs, all kinds of things. It's like single ones. But we want group B. And it was 5x4, I think is the one I want. Oh, is it facing that other way, is it? Aha, yes, something like that is what we're looking for. Those are wooden. Actually, they're fine. They are fine. There is the one I wanted. It's all coming back to me. Right. Yeah, as you can see, we have a slight height problem here. I think it might just be a bit too high up here, so we may have to do some changes, which is fine. We could do that. Let me think this through then. Okay, right, we'll get rid of that. We could enlarge them. That'd be quite easy to do. I mean, let's say we want to make it, can we do what we did before with 2? The steps seem quite large now. This is where, once again, your NPC guide can come in quite handy here. Put crisping on the case. Actually, that's all right. I think we can get away with that, because that's, you know, the steps aren't too great. If you're a hobbit, you might struggle, but I don't know. It's like Middle-earth wasn't really built with diversity in mind, was it? So, well, I think that's about right. See the wideness again. Yeah, that's probably about right wideness. So even with these stairs in place, it's still pretty high. Now we could keep that height. Nothing wrong with keeping that height in place there, but what we'd have to do then is maybe terrace this down a bit so that stairs can get up there, or maybe do the job with 2 sets of stairs perhaps. Though I did kind of want it all in a straight line and not moving around, but we'll keep that handy there and just see what sort of height we're coming up to here. We need to lock this in place as well, because this is the problem I'm getting now. As I move it around, it's trying to adjust to the height of the terrain that I'm sticking it on, which isn't much good to us. Right, let's height lock that, and then we'll move that in place there, and as you can see, that is kind of where we get to. Well, that top step there. Right. This is where your eyedropper tool can come in very handy, because what we're going to do now is, say we wanted to create a first point for these stairs to reach, you know, so we can get them going. We could put another set of stairs up above it, which I think is what we're going to do. We're going to double stair it. So I'm going to go terrain, go to flatten, get the eyedropper tool, and I see what I've got there. I've got select objects enabled because I was moving that placeable around. So click on paint terrain. So we're on flatten, we're going to hit eyedropper, got our plus sign, and this is never always an exact science, but if I zoom in on the terrain there, and I'm going to click where that cursor is right there, and hopefully, he says, I'm going to put it on large, no, I'm going to put it on medium. We're going to get a top down here, so we'll get a good view of what you're doing, and we're just going to cut around here. That's actually dead on. We've got that just right there. So we have our little marker now for where we want these stairs to end up. So I'm going to move them across. We want the centre to be about here. We're also going to need a bit of room for players to walk around there as well. So we might have to do a bit of further fine tuning, but that's fine. So their stairs are set in place, maybe a bit more to the left. We can align the in later, that's secondary right now. Put stairs in there and paint the terrain around those. So yeah, we've got a top step there, but we're, through some moulding of the terrain and things, we can get that tidied up. Obviously, because this is a tutorial, and I don't want you spend too much just listening to me indulge in my own little wishes. I'm going to get another tool now. So we're on the terrain mode, and we're going to go with the lower brush. This brush does exactly what it says on the tin. It will lower terrain for you. Change your brush size as normal, and the pressure, so how fast you want the height to change as you do it. I mean, if I give you an example, I'll get right out of the way here. So if I want to lower, when I click, the terrain lowers. So I'm clicking repeatedly here to do that. In one click, I get that. If I hold it down, it'll keep going down. So the pressure will determine how fast that happens. Generally, you won't want that up particularly high. I tend to actually keep it to about 25% there. Now, I don't want my seafloor being messed around with, so we're going to put that back to normal using flatten. And now we'll go back to lower, which is on 25% now. And we'll go back to our little spot here. And we will lower this middle piece here. Don't worry if you get weird little angles or spiky bits, we can clear all that up. So that's tidied that up. But stairs can be very easy to fudge up and have strange results in game when people are running up and down them. But that, to start with, is pretty good. And what we will do is we'll use our eyedropper, flatten, then eyedropper. That's better. We are on medium, okay, and then we're just going to widen the entrance of the stairs slightly there at the base level, and then we've got that in place there. Raise obviously does the exact opposite of lower, so I won't go into that right now. And there's another option called smooth, and what that does, it kind of enables you to, you know, we don't want these harsh edges. You can get a nice sort of seamless downhill thing about it, and that's what I do. And also you've got little bumps in the ground, it smooths them out. It's like this little bump here with smooth selected. If I hold down the mouse button, and it kind of smooths out to sort of the average sort of height that you're dealing with there. And again with smooth, brush size, and then the pressure, how quickly you want the smoothness to occur. So a good example for the use of smooth is we've got this harsh edge sort of here, and this sort of little pit in the ground that I've created through my terrain moulding. So if I just start clicking here, the whole sort of fills itself out and goes away, and it gets, you know, a bit better to look at. So there's one use of it there. Now back to here, stage 2 of our efforts with the in entrance here. We're going to need a bit of terrain before we put the next staircase in. So what we're going to do is we're going to flatten an eyedropper. I mean, connecting two stair pieces together might yield problematic issues with the walk mesh. It may not be possible for the player to cross over it. I've never really been able to succeed in that. I mean, if others have, please do share. I'd love to know the secret. But usually you have to sort of interspace them with a bit of terrain, which is fine. You know, it will look fine. So we're going to use the eyedropper, and we're going to go with the height that the top of these stairs are at, which is right there. And then we're going to place down a bit of ground for ourselves, and once again we're going to get a staircase like that, and we're going to turn off the lock. Well, we've already got height lock on, that's fine then, so we can copy that. If you position lock, so you cannot copy it and paste it, because it doesn't move. So have that selected, and then we get a copy which is also height locked at that same position as well, but we're going to turn off the height lock because we want to place that directly above this one. So we're in line with the old one there. We're going to move forward and bring it down to the same level here, Oh, let's have a look at that a minute. Have I chopped too much out of this? I think I have done. That's fine. We can see to that. Can be a bit fiddly, this business. That's more or less the same height. And now we wanted that little bit of ground to separate things out a bit. So I'm just moving this forward, and we're going to plant it down right about there. We will now lock that in place just for height. And now that one can't be moved either. And now we'll go to flatten, eyedropper again, get to paint terrain, click on the first step, and then we'll just go for this little spot here, find the top step, there it is, and there we go, we can do it that way. So the steps should look fine, they don't seem too harsh, and the rest of this we can mould up together to create sort of a little cliff face within the cliff, if that makes sense. So we've got that there, and then we do still have this bit of raised terrain here, but that's fine. What we'll probably end up doing is we'll just remove the inn briefly, lower the top piece slightly and the surrounding areas, so everything's going to come down just a tiny little bit, not too much, just a little. And that's a general idea of the layout there. We've got the shore, we've got the stairs leading up, we will have all roads or paths heading sort of upstairs, swooping back round to these stairs here. Same again over there, all the way around there, so we'll have some streets, a few houses down here, and then up the stairs to the inn, and then the rest around there. So travel through the town, you know, kind of requires you to pass through the inn, and because the inn is a very important part of this campaign, it's just the right thing, because the inn's between the most notable feature of this small seaside resort. So yeah, well, that's that. So there's a bit of fine tuning to do here, which we can quickly do. Let's see now. Now there's a problem with the top step here. I think it yeah, misleadingly chopped more than I wanted it to. So what we're going to do is we are going to raise the terrain here. We'll use the raise button this time, and as soon as it starts to cross over the top steps, we'll stop. So I'm going to reduce the size because I don't want too much here, and we'll just bring this up, and see, that's a bit too high there, so we're going to smooth it now with a small brush. I don't want that size. Let's go down. Tiny bit, there we go, and then we're going to flatten, eyedropper. The highest point of that smoothing is right there, and we're now going to fill this out, which should get us there, and now we have the steps at the right level. It's just a case now of getting this little plateau here. I was never good at geography, I don't even know if I'm using the correct terminology here, but whatever, this bit of ground in there, and then smoothing. As I said, it takes a while to get your stairs all nice and tidy after doing this, but you know, it's not essential right now, so I shouldn't really be wasting too much time on that right now. As the inn, we're going to shift that out of the way. Back you go, and we're going to take the highermost part of the stair, and that will be our new height for this top level. It's taken me longer to make areas than this in the early stages, believe me. I mean, it's often I've ended up abandoning ideas and things, and sometimes in hindsight I've wondered if it was actually the right thing to do, because in the early stages of making an area, it can be very easy to be disheartened by what you're seeing. For example, what you're seeing now, you might be thinking, oh, this is just not going to work, or even because it's the amount of work involved can sometimes put someone off. I mean, if you want to make something really really stunning and really interesting. It does take time, but that's what you get when you get this level of flexibility with making areas. If you really want to make something really strong, it will take time. But the quality of the area is reflected by how much time you put into it. If you want something quick and dirty, it's perfectly doable. And you can make nice areas in it with a very quick job. It kind of depends on the techniques you use, really, or what sort of look you're going after. But certainly areas like this, they take time. So don't give up, persevere, and you'll get the result you want. Now, do we want people to be able to wander around the sides of the building? For now, we'll bring it right up to the edge, I think. But there we go, we've kind of got the stairs leveled off with the edge now. A bit of smoothing will sort that out. Bit in is more or less in position. A little shift to the side. We've got our stairs, so our main little passages around are in place, and then we've obviously got to mould these ones out as well. Might as well do that, and then what I'll probably do is stop us there for the time being. But as you can see, this little project is going to take a while for us to complete, but we shall get there. We shall get there. So I'm going to get the flatten tool out, and I'm going to go an eyedropper. For now, we're just going to carve out exactly what we need for these staircases. So the eyedropper on, paint terrain on, get the eyedropper on, and we're now at level 0. And we're going to get the bottom of the stairs. Where's the bottom of the stairs? There it is. Chop that out of there. And then we are left with this sort of spiky piece here. But for now, we will cut it out. But what we will probably do is we will have an elevation running in line with these stairs, and we'll decide what that looks like further down the line. Take a little bit out of there. So that's one staircase, and we do the same with the other one. Bring that along there, find the bottom, enough room to get up there, clear that out, and that's our other staircase in there as well. So those are key things in this area that we particularly need to know exactly where they're going. So that's why these placeables were put down. In terms of your other placeables, like all your other minor details, it's best not to go putting any of that down until you've got the terrain moulded in the positions you want it, because if you decide later, well actually I want this to be lower, then you're going to have to remove all your placeables and reposition them. I mean, I suppose you could lower all that and then just lower the placeables as a group down by selecting them all. But if you've got placeables at various heights and things like that, or different settings, or whatever, then you're going to have problems. So finalize your terrain layout first, placing only the key position objects down. So that's what we've done here. So that brings this part of the project up to a close. What we'll be doing in the next video is starting to smooth out and change some of the heights around here, and just getting the actual overall moulding of the terrain completed. That's the next step. So bear with me. I hope this was informative and possibly interesting, and yeah, do tune in for more. Thank you very much. See you soon.